So, Prime Minister, election year, billions of dollars in promises, ones that he knows he can't afford, but he doesn't care. The Prime Minister is going from door to door, telling people how much money he's got for this and how much money he's got for that. But don't forget, the federal budget is in deficit between now and the next 40 years. And while this bloke wants to pretend everything is awesome, everything's okay, we've turned the corner, let's all hold hands, we're through the worst of it, like we've flattened the COVID curve or somehow we've repelled the invading forces of World War II. Please. The reality of Albo's Australia is that today, as hundreds of thousands of kids went back to school, principally back to public schools in Queensland, there are many more parents that are having serious financial trouble. Now, I know this is not as exciting as telling you, oh, here's the latest data about climate change. It's not as much fun as, oh, look what Lydia Thorpe did today. But this is a statement of the country and where it is under this bloke. Difficult sacrifice. Parents are making hard choices to pay for kids' education. According to analysis which is done by a group called Good 360 Australia, nearly 2 in 5 parents say they are more concerned with, how's this, more concerned with affording school essentials than in previous years. Oh, but we've turned the corner. What about the too late tax cuts? Oh, haven't we saved everyone $275 on their power bills? Oh, that's right. No. Topping the concerns of costs include things like digital tools. You see, way back when it was Kevin Rudd who was handing out the laptops, now it's you who's paying for them. Making sure that your kid has the best possible technology to keep up with the latest version of the software that everyone else has in the classroom, otherwise your kid starts to fall back. Meantime, you might be paying through the nose for more internet than you actually need, and it's not so you can stream telly, it's so that the kids can keep up with the work that they are doing. If you're a grandparent, you're taking care, you too may be paying way too much for internet that you don't need. 43% of families refer to the digital costs of education as a, quote, major burden. The person who founded the charity that did this work is somebody I want to highlight for you tonight. Alison Covington says, as the cost of living crisis continues, our research shows that parents are making difficult sacrifices to support children's learning. This is Albo's Australia, everyone. Feel good? Should he get another 3 years? Nobody should be forced to choose between essentials for their child's education and basic family necessities such as food and clothing. What was his promise 3 years ago? What is the central promise that you count it has been broken every day? A Labor government will lower the cost of living. They didn't. You name it, it's higher. From the cost of the school uniform to the school shoes to the computers that they're using to the internet that you have to pay for the insurance on the car where you drop them off, or the cost of the fuel that goes into the bus that picks them up. Not to mention all of the other things to do in life, like paying off the house with all those interest rate rises. Nothing to see here, it's all better. Oh no, that's right, it's all worse. The central promise is a lie and has been broken. It is the central reason why, no matter what strings they pull, between now and election day, you've got to put the size 9 on. And be it the Clarks, the Hush Puppies, or if you're able to get around in a pair of Doc Martens, or you can wear some Rossi boots. Belt them as hard as you possibly can when you get the chance. Greens last, Labor second last. Now, I say all of this because there is some early signs that the inflation number, which is about to be released in the next couple of days, which will feed into the decision-making of the Reserve Bank, is going to be where we have long needed it to be, between the 2 and 3% margin. But remember, it's not just a one-off sugar hit, but the patience of the federal political gallery do not remember last month, last year, the year before, all the other resets, all the other changes. They're going to lock in that when inflation lands at the number that they know the Reserve Bank is looking for, no matter how artificially it is arrived at because of the billions of dollars that are being spent to artificially hide the increases of power prices. When the rates come out tomorrow, it seems like the Treasurer has got a preview and he has already started doing the victory dance.
Now, when we came to office, inflation had a 6 in front of it and it was rising. Now inflation has a 2 in front of it, and that is a demonstration of that progress.
So get ready. Mission accomplished. And in fact, from the very same people who told us that it was mission accomplished, they are all prepared to run the line that everything is okay, everything is awesome, it is time for the Reserve Bank to start cutting interest rates. Now, it is time for the Reserve Bank to start cutting interest rates, because we have been in a per capita recession for the best part of, what, 7 quarters in a row, I think it is? It's been a huge period of time where we, the average people, have gone backwards. The living standards are at 1949. This government is responsible. This government promised to change it. This government should be punished for it. Oh, but get ready. Get ready for the media to say that just because prices are going up by a little less than they previously went up, then magically the assumption is that we're all too stupid to know the difference between what the cost of everything was before this bloke became Prime Minister and the cost of everything now that he is Prime Minister and has had a full term to screw up the joint. Perfect example. How much extra it costs to pay off the family home. A third of Australians are trying to pay off a house. More than that are trying to pay off their own house. And once you start to throw in the people that are paying off an investment property, the majority of people in Australia care about what is happening when it comes to interest rates. And the West Australian did a little thing on the average home loan in Western Australia, which is about $400,000, many $1,000 lower than, say, what might be happening in Sydney, Melbourne or Brisbane. But how's this? About $60,000 is how much extra interest you have had to pay since this mob came to power. That's your interest repayments. It works out at the best part of almost $40,000 increase since this bloke came to power. Do your sums, divide it by 12, divide it by 6, divide it in whichever way you want. Having to find an extra $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, depending on where you are and how much you're paying off your house, is a disgrace. You didn't have the money then, you don't have the money now. And yes, while there has not been a huge number of people that are whacking the for sale sign up because they can't pay for the roof over their head anymore, you know, in your suburb, there are plenty more places for sale than were a couple of years ago, even when the interest rates were as low as they were. They said it was a cost of living crisis and the ultimate example of why we needed to change the government 3 years ago. Well, guess what? 3 years later, more people cut back on Christmas than they did the year before or the year before that. More people are worried about how they're going to pay for their kids to go to school, and more people are having to find tens of thousands of dollars in what limited wages they actually have, because unless you're a public servant, unless you're a politician, you have not got the pay rise that matches the increase in your costs from interest rates, which in part are because of government spending. Australia must remember this. You have to remind your family members of this. Show that promise again from Albo from a couple of years ago. I want you, if you can, to pick up your phone right now. I'll give you a couple of seconds. Pick up the phone, lean in and take a photo of the Albo promise that everything would be lower under a Labor government. I want you to keep this one nice and close. You can go and Google image it if you want, but the cost of everything is going up and a Labor government will lower the cost of living. I'll give you a couple of seconds here, all right, everyone? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take the photo. Post it online, remind your family that that was the promise. Did this happen? No. 275 by 2025? No. Everything else go up? Yes. And in part because of very sneaky taxes.